Hello everyone and welcome to our penultimate Mojo May 2025 video. As usual, we're going to make a card, but we're also going to look at another way to get your creative juices flowing. And today's Mojo May tip is to keep a knick-knack slash doodah slash use it or lose it box that you can dip into whenever you feel in a bit of a creative rut and pull something out and see if it sparks an idea. So this is my knick-knack doodah box, and it's just a cheap paper box that I picked up from, I think it was TK Maxx years ago now, and I just love the colour, I love the gold, I love the pattern. It makes me feel creative just looking at it. But in here I've got all sorts of knick-knacks and doodahs and some use it or lose it items. So we'll have a quick look through this just to give you some ideas of things you could keep in your own little box, and then we'll take something out of it and make a card. So on the top of the pile I've got this stamp set. Now this I picked up at the Crafty charity shop. It's from a stamp magazine, I believe, and it's just some silicone coffee and tea themed stamps with some coffee and tea themed puns for card making. I've had it a while, haven't used it, so it's gone in my use it or lose it box. If I don't use it soon, it's going to go back to the charity shop. This is a tag from, I think, a top that I bought recently, and I like the way the font, the letters are all squished up together, so I thought that might be something to explore on a card or maybe a journal page. All these Mojo May prompts and tips can be useful for any kind of creativity, not just card making. I've got some bits of mulberry paper. I used this in a video back in March, I think, and I've just put some of the bits that I really like and some of the scraps in here. This was a bit of pattern paper. I like both sides, but I also spritzed on this with some purple shimmer spray. So that's just really just to give me an idea, a reminder that I can spritz on patterned paper or add mixed media to pattern paper. This was something made by my niece and nephew, so I just pop that in there because it makes me smile, and I might make a watermelon based card again at some point. This was a gift from a friend, and it's very faded now because it's sat in the sunshine in my conservatory for a long time. It was a different colour around the edge, but I love the metallic and the texture on this heart and the font there. I think this ribbon came from maybe even a box of chocolates, I think, but I thought I could cut that and stick it on the front of a card. Now there are these sort of die cut pieces which are from a card making magazine. Now it's not something that I personally would use on a card because I like to either draw, paint, stamp, die cut rather than just popping a finished piece on. But I might use this in, say, scrapbooking or journaling, but also might give me an idea, say something like that with a with love in a diamond shape with some florals. That might give me an idea for a card front. And there's some sentiments which I might use on a card. So there's quite a few of those. I've got another stamp set here. This is a My Favourite Things stamp set, and I bought this from the Crafty charity shop, probably 2 years ago, thinking that I would use it loads, and I haven't used it once. So that's a use it or lose it item. More little die cuts, some little butterflies again. I'll put those in a journal probably. And now I've got this. This is a bookmark that I made in a silver jewellery making workshop that I went to. It needs a polish. The silver's oxidised a bit, but I used some sea glass that I found on the beach and incorporated that into this little bookmark. So that might give me some ideas. I do love the sea glass wrapped in this silver wire. Similarly, this was actually a gift from a friend. It's a hair clip, and I love the swirls and the metallics together. This was something I found at a charity shop. It's an old vintage shorthand dictionary, and I could see me using a page out of this as maybe a background on the front of a card. This was a favour from a wedding. Instead of sweets or sugared almonds, as is the tradition, they put seeds in a little envelope and gave them to guests to sew, and I just liked the design on there. This came off of a suitcase that we bought recently, and I liked this kind of pocket thing. This is a silver necklace, not that you can tell it's silver, it's really oxidized. I do need to get the silver polish out, but it's got kind of Charles René Mackintosh type flowers on it, which I really like. I've also put in here some washi tapes, these kind of Art Deco design washi tapes, and I've had them a long time and I really like them, but I don't use them very often. So I thought I'll put them in here as a use it or lose it thing. So some washi tapes. I've got some shells from the beach, and I love this. It's got a really lovely shiny mother of pearl on it. More sea glass and pebbles and things that I've collected. This little bit of brick from the beach that's been worn down by the ocean. This was a sea glass necklace that I bought at a craft fair I went to last year, I think, again in much need of a polish. We've got a tag here. This is the same company whose tag inspired yesterday's or the day before yesterday's card. A couple of postcards. These actually belong to my daughter, and I put them in here for safekeeping because she doesn't like to leave things lying around. But my sister gave these to my daughter, and I just love the colour wheel and the colour swatches on there. This was off a scarf that I bought from Pom. I've got several of their scarves, if you hadn't guessed. And I just liked, again, this design, this silver, this light teal turquoise colour. And then I've got some card blanks that I've stamped sentiments on already. So I've got something in there that will get me going if I'm in need of a little prompt. Another tag. I just like this particular font. I could look on my computer to see if I can find a similar font and print off some sentiments. This is just a random scrap of a DIY background that I made. I think that was earlier this month. Some more washi tape. This has got postage stamps on it, which I love. This is a strap from my Fitbit, which I no longer wear because the battery life doesn't last, but I like the pattern on it and the colours. A little burlap Hessian sack. This was wrapping paper from my birthday present a couple of years ago from my sister, and I really liked it and thought I would keep that. It looks a bit like Seedless Preserves, the Distress Oxide colour with gold on top. There's some more of that mulberry paper. A couple of white ribbons for out of a top, a hair clip that was a present from a friend. I just like the weaviness of it and the colours. Another bracelet. That's actually my step grandma's wedding ring. Again, that's in there for safekeeping. That is part of the bookmark. Is it part of the... No, it's not part of the bookmark. What's that from then? Oh, that is from this hair clip thing that goes in there like that. A bauble, that's one of the baubles that the cat likes to chase around, and some coloured pebbles that I think my daughter gave me. So that's my knick-knack doodah box full of things to inspire, use it or lose it items. Right, so I've decided to pull out this shell from my use it or lose it knick-knack doodah box, and it's made me remember that I've got the seaside theme stamps. I've got some shells on there, a seahorse, some bubbles, a bit of kelp. So I'm thinking I'm going to take this bit of mixed media paper, stamp these in embossing ink, emboss them in clear embossing powder, and then do an emboss resist technique. So go over them with some nice colours. So the first thing I'm going to do is dust this with talcum powder to remove any moisture, any static, any grease that will grab onto embossing powder. I'm going to start with this big shell and stamp it on in my embossing ink. I can just about see where that is, and then I'm going to find some smaller shells and stamp those in between. Right, I'm just sprinkling the superfine clear embossing powder over this. I did accidentally drop my stamp here, so I've got a kind of ghost impression there. I'm going to get a small paintbrush and brush off that extra powder. I might add another stamp here. Right, that's all done. Everything is cooled and set, and I'm going to blend on some colour. So I've got tumbled glass, which I think is a nice seaside themed colour. Now I'm going to add some salvage patina. So that's blended on there. I'm going to put some water on my mat and then pick it up with my smusher and smush it over the ink. The ink is water reactive, so this will make it shift and move around a bit and give it a splashy seasidey feel. So I've just dried that with my hairdryer, and now I'm going to polish over the top, just buff over it with a microfiber cloth to get the ink off of the embossing. This shell, I don't know what I did there, but I don't seem to have got any embossing powder on that bit, but never mind, I'll focus my usage on this area. And to give it a bit of shimmer and shine, I'm going to spritz on some of this white shimmer spray. Dry that with my hairdryer. So I'm going to run this through my die cutting machine with a stitched rectangle die, and I've selected this area because I think it works well. This will go in my box of backgrounds and bits, and I'm going to stick that on this card blank. For my focal point on my card, I'm going to gold heat emboss this seahorse stamp and then cut it out with my detail scissors. I'm going to stamp it several times and heat emboss it so that if I mess it up, I've got a backup or two. This is the embossing powder I'm going to use, Polished Gold Superfine by Wow. So I did manage to mess one up, so it's just as well I stamped another one. I'll chop these out and then get my detail scissors and fussy cut them. So I think I've done a fairly decent job on that one. I'm just going to run this embossing tool around the edge to bevel it over and make it look less scissor cut and more die cut. So I'm thinking that can go there on a bit of foam, and then maybe a sentiment here. I rather like it like that, I think. And then we've got all this space for sentiment. So my sentiment is going to read, have a splashing birthday as opposed to a smashing birthday. And I've got a birthday in a script font, which works well with the scale of the card. And then I've got two other alphabet dies. I've got my teeny tiny one, which I believe is a Gemini mini set. That's going to say have a. I'm sticking them on the washi so I don't lose them. And then this is another set. I think I got this from Etsy, which is slightly larger, and this is going to say splashing. And I've got this very polished gold cardstock, and I can run that through my die cutting machine. Before I do that though, I'm going to put some double-sided sticky on the back just to make it easier to stick my sentiment down. So I've put a bit of 1mm deep foam tape on the back of my seahorse, and that's going to go there. And I've got the word birthday there. I've taken the release paper off the back, and I think I'll just pop it there for now. Then I'm going to use a bit of washi as a straight edge for my splashing. So I've actually shuffled the letters down a bit because they were too high up the card. I think they're in the right place now. So we've got splashing. Let's give those a good press down to make sure the double-sided adhesive gets in contact with the actual card. Right, that was a bit of a labour of love because I lost a couple of the letters that I die cut, so I had to die cut them again, and then I accidentally flinged one of the dies with the die cut still in it across the craft room and spent ages trying to find it, but find it I did, and now the die cut is on there. So we've got to have a splashing birthday on a seasidey, sea ocean themed card. And so I hope you've enjoyed today's video and it's given you a card making idea or two and another way to get your creative juices flowing by using a knick-knack slash doodah slash use it or lose it box. If you have enjoyed today's video, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up, a comment, and if you want to see more from me, subscribe and ring the notification bell, and I'll see you back here in a couple of days for our last Mojo May 2025 video. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.